Yeah.
Fantastic.
We're talking.
I hope we keep that part in.
Okay.
I want people to know how real and organic we are.
How of the people?
Like, look, I'm just on my phone.
We're just on your phone.
Yeah, like, what?
We have lives.
It's actually a nice departure from like being on set where, first of all, normal sets are freezing cold. Am I right?
They are, aren't they?
Yeah, why?
Or roasting hot.
Oh, really? Is that your experience?
Oh, yeah. We, I guess back in the day, we didn't have proper like AC. So they would pump it, they had the snakes and they would have the AC through these like snakes.
Coil silver.
Yeah. So
how funny. Wow.
You are,
whenever I think you're old, you prove me so right.
Snakes.
Just kidding.
Snakes on a plane.
Snakes.
Ha!
You got to get rid of
I'm
these snakes on a
old.
plane.
I don't know what we're talking about.
No, you're not
like
old.
a Biden moment.
You're not like a month older than me. I don't know why I think it's funny to do that.
Am I a month older than you?
I think we're both 38.
Okay.
Well, I'm almost 39.
You know, people were commenting not too long ago about how we made this comment about Ashley Tisdale. I have to tell you about this.
Oh my God. Can that just be like a reoccurring theme?
love it.
We're
I
going to get
just
her.
love it.
She needs the press too, right? No, she doesn't. She doesn't. I'm kidding. I hope that's a soundbite.
No, first of all, I think it's wonderful. I think
I know.
It's like, because it's not
real.
It's not real. We don't have bad intention. But
feud between Tisdale, Christy, Carlson, Romano, and Anneliese Vanderbilt. It's like, what happened? We don't know.
It's so arbitrary. Okay, but check this out. Now I can't even remember. So on one of our episodes that we were chatting about how, I don't know, it was our first episode.
Yeah.
You were chatting about how she was, you waited on her. Mm-hmm. And I was like, this new generation of Disney kids, right? Like, they don't understand how hard we had it. And I am not minimizing anyone's struggle, first and foremost. And second, because we don't know, right? And secondly, what I meant by that was we came a good, I would say 5 years prior to High School Musical.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
The Disney network
maybe even
longer because I am so old.
I
am your ancestor. I am your ancestor.
No, but how soon?
No. 2000. When I was 16, on my 16th birthday was when we did our like first week of filming.
Oh, okay.
If not first day. So that's how I know. I was 16 when we started Even Stevens. I was 14 when we did the pilot. I'm 40. Do the fucking math. I'm 39. But really, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's how long that relationship spans back to.
Right.
And that's when they first really started. And Courtney Draper, they did the Jersey, like your bestie. And so there was that was the first round of all that stuff coming out on like the magic started. But then, High School Musical was like 10 years after that.
Right,
I mean, it was a long, long time. So what I meant by that, to address some of the hate or the confusion, I should say, is that, we were a first generation, which came with a certain amount of responsibility and also kind of like it was a kind of a cluster F, it was like, well, what are we doing? And you can't say that. You can't show skin and you can't, wear certain things. Whereas when they were getting a little bit more relaxed, it's, what it's like? I liken it to this. When you have really strict parents with like the first kid, and then by like the third kid, they're like, oh, I don't even know where they are right now.
That's such a good parallel for sure.
Because literally, I will sit back and I'll see like Disney have to deal with this drama or this kid, that, and I'm just like, wow.
Yeah, I did see that comment though. Somebody saying like, Ashley had it hard too. It's like, of course. Please don't take everything we say so literally. First of all,
this is just our opinions too, guys.
And I always thought you meant we were tougher in the sense that we were theater kids. And theater kids are tough. I mean, I'm sorry, but
she was a theater kid too. That's what the haters are going to say. Haters are going to be like, she was in Les Mis. She was in Les Mis.
Oh, okay. I don't even mean it as a comparison.
Yes.
Then I just mean you said we were tough. We were really tough. I guess this is
okay. You want me to be honest with you? I think that we weren't able to get social media and all that shit because we came before it, and so it was very hard for us to bridge our careers over time. They had a leg up in that situation.
Totally.
With the same amount of exposure on the same network.
Right.
That's it. That's what I meant by it. And by the way, guys, I love Big Name because we can clear air and be extremely authentic with you and tell you and address certain aspects, but we're not going to address every hateful comment. Like, we don't have time for that shit.
No. And I like staying in a very bitter state. And that just feels
You don't want to grow.
I'm just kidding.
You're a dark soul.
I
mean, we need to keep that soul dark, babe. And speaking of dark souls, here we have a Diet Coke that we're drinking.
Now, tell me, what's in this Diet Coke?
Oh God, we don't know. We don't know. And caffeine, I could tell you that much.
Okay, for sure.
Which is the most important
Isn't
thing
that funny
ever.
that we don't know? How many people try to scare you about drinking Diet Coke? How many people are like, oh, it's so bad, right?
Yeah, they're linking it to a lot of like horrible things.
Really?
I don't know. What do I care? I need it to survive.
When did they start linking it to horrible things?
Aspartame is related to cancer, and aspartame is technically in Diet Coke because that's what makes it diet. It's because you're dying when you drink it.
I just got welled up with anxiety. Is that weird?
I'm drinking Coke. You're drinking Diet Coke.
I know. I just welled up. I'm going to put this down. But like, do you think that's real? That scares?
Just drink the Coke. You're going to die anyway, Anneliese.
I know. At some
My
point.
husband is obsessed with living forever. Sometimes I look at him, I'm like, I'm out by 82, babe.
Actually, that's really interesting because I was thinking last night, Jono and I were like getting into this conversation about, why did it come up? I think we were watching Below Deck. I don't know why this came up, but death and what happens after you die. What do you think happens after you die? Like, are you religious? Do you believe in?
I used to. I was raised very Catholic. I used to really truly believe in heaven and hell, and I used to think that when I prayed, I was speaking directly to Jesus. I identify with Jesus, but at the same time, I identify with my higher power. And Jesus and higher power to me are the same thing. So when I'm speaking to like whatever entity or force that I feel like I can connect with, I don't know. It feels very grounding to me, especially as somebody in recovery. It's kind of just like I need to check in with that from time to time when I feel really kind of out of my body. Yeah. So there's that. That's kind of like the beginning and end of my spirituality. And like I also think like, you got to be authentic in a way that's like healthy for yourself. You got to have mental health be a priority so that you don't go off the rails. Because let me tell you what, I have two sisters who I feel like don't prioritize their mental health, and we don't talk because of that. And I feel like the older they get, the more I see the product of them not taking care of their mental health. I think the brain is a tissue, it's an organ. Like if you don't work it out though, if you don't take care of it, it atrophies.
Ooh, wow. What a good way of, absolutely. I always say in AA, they say, here we are working on ourselves because we have a problem, but really everybody should be working on themselves. Yeah, we have this great excuse to work on ourselves, which is addiction or alcoholism, right? And everybody else gets to just act like assholes in the world. It's like, no, you probably have something too. But anyway, it's hard. It's hard to find a good therapist. It's hard
That was some deep convo you were having with your man.
I was. I honestly... I'm scared of death. I think about it probably too often. And like, no joke, when you just said that about the Diet Coke, I welled up with anxiety. Like my body got hot.
But I'm glad I told you though, so that you know.
Well, like, is it too late?
Do your own research. Listen, with everything, guys, do your own research. Because like,
is it too late though? Honestly, I'm like making you be a doctor now. Like I've been drinking Diet Coke like addictively for 20 years.
I mean, are you, both of my parents had rare cancer, and my dad ended up passing from eye cancer. He was in remission for a long time, and he didn't take care of his body. He would drink Coke all the time, Diet Coke. But I mean, that's not helping. Sorry, that's going to give you more anxiety. But I guess the point is like, I'm okay with dying.
Yeah, it's really weird. Talking about
it's really weird. Like I think it's so interesting that I'm married to somebody who's literally faced death in the face and wants nothing more than to live. He lives with chronic pain, and like sometimes when I'm really sick, he'll be like, "Actually, that's kind of how I feel," and I'm always like, "God, you feel like this every day?" And it's like, and it's really hard, but for me,
first of all, it's really hard for you to complain ever, right?
Yeah, it is. Trust me.
Well, well, you have chronic pain.
I mean,
well,
if you
you're on your period, who cares?
Are you bleeding for 7 days?
I don't feel sorry for you.
I know chronic pain is really interesting to be a partner of somebody with chronic pain.
Yeah, that sounds really difficult.
But at the same time, it's more difficult to be him. But then again, we trade off because we were just talking about I'm leaving tonight to get home, and I'm going to get home fairly late. By the time I get home, it'll be 1 a.m, probably more like 1:30. And then technically with what I do to wake up at 5:40 in the morning just so my kids are at school on time, I would be getting like 4 hours of sleep. And it's like, this is kind of the plight of a working parent is, if you're really kind of, moms are technically what they call a default parent, where like you end up being the person that does the stuff, like the hard stuff. Like my daughter had lice, so I was the one that sprayed her hair because he was like, "Oh no, I don't want to catch that." But it's not because he's a bad dad. It's just because he's got, his body works in different ways, and this is really truly no hate on him. And I'm also kind of a control freak. I'd rather be the one that's like the default.
Come on. You're the best kind of control freak. Someone's got to have control. I know I don't.
Somebody's got to steer the ship, guys.
I know. I don't have control.
Even when I directed, because I was looking towards directing at one point.
I know. You were going to direct Raven's Home.
No,
Except
that was
didn't
actually
happen.
a mistake.
What do you mean?
I wasn't supposed to be there.
Well, how'd you get on set?
I know. They literally had me cleared to go through security and everything.
I mean, I even had trouble getting through security some of those days. I'm not gonna lie.
For real. I mean, it was pretty locked down. Ever since 9/11, all of the lots have been locked down a lot more. But like a lot of cats, my cat, Jumanji, can be a little mysterious sometimes. He's so independent, and I'm sure he's keeping a secret or two. But when it comes to his health, I want to make sure that I'm doing everything I can to understand him and provide the best care possible. That's why I'm so excited to be partnering with the Smart Litter Box Monitor from Petivity to track Jumanji's daily litter box habits. I simply set Jumanji's litter box on the sleek monitor and let him live his life. The monitor's powerful AI learns Jumanji's litter box behaviors and gives me insights into what his habits can mean for his health. The Petivity Smart Litter Box Monitor can detect changes that could signify a health issue, like a urinary tract infection, kidney disease, or diabetes. If it notices any changes in Jumanji's habits, the Petivity app notifies me, so I don't have to snoop around or worry that I'm missing important clues. I love that the monitor puts my mind at ease and takes some of the mystery out of loving and caring for my cat. And if anything does seem off, I have monthly email reports of his litter box behavior that I can take right to the vet so we can solve the case together. To learn more, visit petivity.com. That's petivity.com. And use code CCR15 for a 15% discount from me and Jumanji. Yeah, I went in and Corey, who's the head of original programming or whatever, who had tried to help me get mentored into the directing, community of Disney Channel. He was like, it was a mistake. You were actually supposed to go to Bizarrevark or some other show that they had going. And so I was like, so I sat through a whole round of you guys doing
A run through,
but it was really interesting to see the dynamic on Raven's Home, because I would imagine it was different. And then with that read through, it was very much like, and you know what else? I sat through some of the administrative or executive, like after you guys stop reading, then they have an executive meeting. And that's really to be a fly on the wall. That was where I saw like Raven be like that executive producer, where she's like, that joke didn't work. This didn't work. And it was like, oh, wow, this is what it's like to be a showrunner. But I do think that like directing, for me, the approach to that like leadership and whatever is maternal. So I'm always like, I go to the maternal energy of that.
Yeah.
I have to. It's just like how I can
That's
connect.
why I like female directors so much. I feel like they're taking care of everybody. I would love to be a fly on the wall in like casting offices.
No way. Are you kidding me?
I mean, not anymore, but
that would be my hell. If I went to hell, it would be, I'd have my hell would be a fly on the wall in a casting office.
I don't know. I mean, I know because it seems like so like they're just evil or something. But I used to audition for Michael Donovan a lot, who's a casting director out here in LA for all the theater in LA and outside of LA, touring companies and everything. And he offered that to me one time, and I didn't take him up on it. I think I just was busy.
Yeah.
And I wish I had, because he was like, it's very interesting. Like he was sending me out a lot, and I was getting callbacks but not booking it. And I really emailed him. I was like, what's going on? And he's like, you have to understand, it's just an essence. It's just a vibe. We know pretty much right away, and one day you'll be right. And I was at some points and for some things.
There's no magic to it. It's really just a numbers game.
I remember I auditioned through him for something called A Dram of Drumhickett at the La Jolla Playhouse. And it was to play like a Scottish fairy during the time of like bogs in Scotland.
Okay.
And I did a really good job. They were looking for somebody for forever. I don't even know why I'm telling the story.
This is cool. Just go with it.
All right,
I want to see you as a Scottish fairy. I could we're wearing green today.
I was fabulous.
And I do kind of feel like you look like a Scottish fairy. I'm not going to lie.
Thank you.
Wait, you got the part?
I got the part.
Oh my gosh. Wait, could you do a Scottish fairy voice?
Oh, let's see. Like roll in your R's like that.
Roll in your R's.
Roll in your R's like that.
Oh.
I'd have to get like read something about it or something. Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah, you have to like listen
I'm going
to
in and
it.
out of an Irish accent, but yeah, I have to hear it first.
Yeah, and then you can mimic it.
Yes, it's imitation, right?
Yeah. Have you always been good with?
I am, but I truly I can do a great Polish accent, but I have to listen to Meryl Streep and Sophie's Choice.
Oh my god,
you know what I'm saying? Or like I can do Barbra Streisand, but I'm much better if I hear it right away.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And of course, I'm never Barbra Streisand. But anyway, I got this part. It's just the segue's bad. Anyway, I got the part, and it was in La Jolla. We'd rehearsed for about a couple days, and I remember it was Was it Christopher Brown, the guy who directed and won a Tony for Memphis?
Okay.
Christopher something.
Okay.
Not a nice guy.
Okay.
I mean,
he directed you in this.
He was directing. I wouldn't even say, if you call directing sitting at a chair and kind of just sprouting out random notes.
Yeah.
Have you ever had somebody direct from a chair the whole time and never get up?
Okay, well, I had an audition with Andrew Lloyd Webber. That was,
That's cool.
Okay, so
wait, let me just finish this.
Yeah,
Sorry, did I yell at you?
No,
wait.
No. So that experience was, he was sitting in the chair.
Oh, you're so sweet to take me back to. Yeah,
he was talking the entire time.
He was talking the entire time, kind of just like, anyway, it was really weird because they were looking for somebody for a while. I think they were having trouble finding somebody with like a fun spirit who had a good Scottish accent,
right,
but also who was willing to get nude. In this play. And it was like from far away on stage, and it was just for a second. Anyway, I kind of always thought it was weird. I thought it wasn't needed, and I remember my mom kind of being upset about it. And so I kind of challenged him a little bit on it, just trying to find out what the reason was. Then in a couple rehearsals, I was having fun. I was joking around. I was being maybe a little silly. Maybe in the sense of not taking the script as seriously as I should, in the sense that I sort of judged it. I thought the script wasn't great. And I was kind of trying to bond with my cast members in that same way, like I was telling that Chrissy, I almost said the name. In that story about Chicago. It's okay, you can leave that in because I didn't say her last name. Anyway.
It was me.
I know, right? A couple days in, he pulls me aside and he said, I don't really know what you're doing out there. I really need you to work on your stuff. It seems like you're not taking it seriously. And I was, I know when I was like,
it's like soul crushing.
It was soul crushing. It was the first time it happened.
Yeah.
And I used that weekend to get insanely prepared. And I already was prepared, but I think they just didn't like my attitude. Anyway, the weekend came. I was so prepared. I was all memorized. I did a really great job. He said after that rehearsal, thank you so much for taking my notes and taking it seriously. I really appreciate it. See you tomorrow. The next day I show up. He takes me in before we go to rehearsal. He says, I'm going to have to let you go.
Oh,
I was so confused.
Oh,
I know, because I was really like, no, I'm talented. What is this about? Like it was it wasn't a drinking thing or,
right,
you know what I mean?
What the fuck?
It was really weird. I think the person he wanted originally came through. I think the girl that he actually wanted that he worked with originally came through. That's what I think.
Naked Scottish fairy.
Exactly. But anyway, my mother said that the best thing, the moral of the story is I called my mother on the way home because I was in La Jolla. I had to unpack all my stuff, repack my stuff to drive home.
Yeah.
And my mother said, oh, come home, Anneliese, come home. I didn't want you naked on that stage anyway. And then I said, I know, Mom, but I'm fired. And she said, what, did you think you'd be the only person in the world to never get fired? And it just made being fired so real, so okay. Everybody gets fired, everybody.
Yeah.
And of course it's okay to make mistakes. I see young people on reality shows getting fired all the time. Like I watch Below Deck and...
Oh, we got to talk about reality shows.
Yes. I mean, I love them.
So we've decided...
Wait, tell me about that audition with Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Oh, okay.
And then, people are going to want to know about that.
Okay.
I almost went to take a sip of my Diet Coke again, but I'm nervous.
Just fucking drink the Coke. You're going to die anyway. That's my theory. You live once.
Tomorrow?
It's not cocaine, okay? It's diet cocaine.
I know, right?
Yeah. So there was a show. We're doing the Theater Girl Energy, and I hope you like it. the giggly squads and burner phone. But Hannah texted me and she was like, love the pod, by the way.
Oh, really?
And I was like, hell yeah.
She listens. Did you tell her that we love hers? I really do.
She
love
invited
hers.
me because she's always in Austin. Austin, Texas is actually a really big comedy hub.
Right.
It's become this huge
Not just a music scene.
No, and honestly, I feel like the music scene really is Nashville. It's not as much.
Oh, interesting. It's adjusted.
COVID has really changed the musicianship, and also the rents being so high has chased out a lot of the artists.
Oh, it sucks.
It does suck. And so I feel like you could probably always see a top name person come through Austin for a performance because we have the Moody Center. But at the same time, like, it's just not what people think it is. Like we're Austin is like supposed to be the live music capital of the country, and it's truly not. It's the food scene, baby.
Yeah, baby.
And that food scene keeps me staying and dealing with 150 days of 100-degree weather. Oh, that's been my life.
That's insane, and it's only going to get worse.
I know.
Sorry.
I know. Trust me, I know. Climate change is one of the and I try not
to.
The
humidity in California is no joke.
I know. Well, when I moved away from California in 2020, there were mosquitoes in Orange County.
Yeah, so I know there's mosquitoes.
And my husband was like, "I grew up in OC. Like we never had fucking mosquitoes."
I know. It's. I know. I can't talk about it.
Yeah, don't talk about it because it's fucking sad. Yeah, I was at sushi. I went to this really great sushi place called Sushi Bar. Shout out to Sushi Bar in Austin. And it was an omakase. You have like 6 people. Everyone's so excited. They were like literally waiting for reservations for months. And they get in, and this guy's like, says something about, oh man, it's the world is just crazy out there. It's what do we do or something? And he asked some random question, and I look at the guy, and his name is like George or something. And I was like, that's because the world is dying, George.
Yeah.
I took that, but I said it in a very dry sense of humor, which I don't do that much.
Right.
And he was straight up. I love it. I was like so morbid, and he was struck, and he was making the sushi, and he was like, why? He was just like, why did you just bring the mood down with talking about climate change?
Yeah, thanks. I
think I said it wasn't dying.
Now
I think I said it was
salmon
burning down, or I said something really morbid.
Yeah.
If you ever want to just like really fuck with people, just talk about climate change.
Just talk about climate. Yeah.
Just talk about the reality outside your window.
Fun topic. What about the people who still don't believe in it?
Oh, and of course I digress. This is
a
thing. This will be merch. I want a hat that says I digress. Bitch, we are doing that.
I just got a text from my father.
I said what I said. On the lip couch. But check it. So Andrew Lloyd Webber spoke through my entire little girl audition, and you got to understand that. Like, that was the pinnacle of what I was meant to do. I was
he spoke through it.
He was talking. He was like in chorus line, like in that movie. He's sitting like all the way in the middle of the orchestra with a chair with one of those tables where the other people are, stage managers are sitting there and checking off and casting. Mm-hmm. And he's sitting right in the middle of the orchestra aisle. And he's just sitting there. He was a large guy, and he was just talking the whole time. He could not give a fuck about the fact that I was like one of the 3 options, because right after I left, they called in everybody, the choices, their top choices, and you heard them all scream and enjoy. And that was on my way out.
Christy,
now, as a little kid, but that's what I'm saying. As a little kid, and as a little kid, you just don't want to deal with that. But I really am not a fan of the casting process. I know that a lot of people are like, I'm so done with acting because all I do is I send in these tapes. I'm like, I'm sorry, this is an unpopular opinion. Was it really that fucking hard to like prop your fucking iPhone up and say the lines?
Oh yeah, it's much worse being in the room for sure.
I personally have just so much trauma from audition rooms.
Well, I have trauma from both. I think the self-tapes suck. It also suck. The amount of material they make you learn when they have no, they're not even going to watch the tape is really terrible. But that's what this strike is all about. And
I guess.
And all boo-hoo, people are working in mines. There are firefighters out there. I get it. I get it. There's much more difficult things in life. But it's just so funny. I always think these. That's why we have to tell each other these stories as actors, as women, to bond, to know that it happens to everybody, to know we're all in the same boat. I've had so many terrible audition stories. I auditioned for something recently that I got a call back for. Okay. And I flew out because I got a call back, and they seemed really, really interested.
In New York, you
in
flew
New
out
York.
to New York.
I flew out to New York. You
Okay.
know, they said they were interested. Usually if they're really, really interested, they'll pay for your flight.
Oh,
But I was
I
like,
know.
let me just, this is a good opportunity. And I knew that that director was going to direct something much bigger that I was also interested in. And I worked so hard on it. And it was 3 different roles in the show. I thought it was great. I went into the audition and the same thing. They were really talking during it. And as soon as I was done, the director stood up and said to the casting director, something like, before I even grabbed my book off the piano case.
Oh God.
He stood up
and by the way, that's such a vulnerable time.
it's so, after you've performed.
You've performed, you've exposed yourself to whoever's like, supposed to give you a job. And then you literally have to, the seconds of walking from where you were to that piano.
Yes.
It's really like time slows down.
And it did. But anyway, he like got up right away and asked the casting director, the director asked the casting director, can we take a break now? I really have to pee. It was something like that. He had to pee, but which was, it was like he didn't even acknowledge me, and that I knew he was thinking about peeing the whole time,
Yeah.
It was like, why did you bring me in? He had no interest. That's the thing. I could tell from the start they had already cast it, or he wasn't really interested. It was just somebody to compare. The one person or the 2 people
Well, what
that
about
they
the
want.
casting person? Like, did they have any?
No.
Yeah.
And I called my agent. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. That was crazy. That was really disrespectful.
Didn't you just tell me that you kind of broke up with an agent? Or
Oh yeah,
are you with
I broke
someone
up with
new?
No, I'm not with anybody.
Okay, so what was that like? What was your recent breakup with?
I mean, it was funny. I left my agent. I said,
That must have been a hard call, though.
what do you mean to really give it up?
Okay, so I've broken up with my agent and management team, but that was only when I was at like the height of my depression, drinking. I moved back to New York and kind of cut my hair off, and I was right before I met my husband, but I was like done with the industry. I had to be like really like in a real place to be like, guys, I'll call you when I think I'm out of this.
I mean, I'm not done because I get offers.
I mean, you're still immensely talented and you're still doing things.
Yeah. And I'm so grateful.
But you telling that person like, we're done here.
Yes, was surprising. He was like, what are you going to do? And I was like, I don't know. I'll figure it out. Luckily, I teach, and I tell my students this all the time. If you want to be a famous, like, get out of this. If you think this is going to make you happy, it can make you happy. It's made me very happy and help me afford
fulfillment and happiness, different things.
Oh, totally.
Like, 'cause it's like
but my students, they think they're going to be so famous. They think they're going to, that's truly everybody wants to be famous, right? And it's so funny. No one's famous. No one's Leonardo DiCaprio or
like that kind of famous
Denzel
anymore.
Washington.
Not
or
anymore.
Viola yeah.
But even they aren't.
No, I know, and they're older. Like the Tom Cruises, that's no longer, right? There's no,
not really.
everyone's famous because no one's famous, kind of a thing. But
yeah, I went to a Janet Jackson concert, and I remember Janet Jackson from growing up, and people just being like crying over like seeing her.
Right, that's Raven Simone.
Oh, is it? Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Is like, I went to the concert, nobody was crying, the seats were not filled. Like if it was sold out, it wasn't like people were like literally waiting for her to get on stage.
Right, it wasn't the Taylor
chanting
Swift
her
concert.
name. Like it really wasn't. And it was one of those things where I'm like, holy shit! Even when she was dancing and singing and like she was killing it.
Of course.
And I had orchestra seats. I actually got them for the woman who helps me with my children. I really don't like to say nanny because I feel like it's just like and cringy. But
Nanny McPhee.
she's like my family, my wife,
Right.
basically. She's my wife. But for real, like I was like, hey, do you want to go see Janet with me?
Oh,
it was
really
like a Christmas present. And,
Yeah.
And she cried. You know what I mean? Like she was a real fan.
Of course.
But it was sad to see that like even the folks that were older that could afford those orchestra seats, like they were vibing. But what my point is that it's never going to be like the Beatles. Human influence,
Right.
Human influence has died down.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, it's really kind of weird to see. So this interview was partially so that we could talk about when you have been fired. So
Right.
I was curious. You've mentioned a couple things, and I've been fired too. There was this one time when I was a kid that I set fire. Speaking of fired, I set fire to paper towels. It was summer stock. I was rehearsing for.
I love summer stock.
I was rehearsing
at
for
the JCC.
Ruthless.
Ooh, okay.
I was rehearsing for Ruthless in Galveston, Texas, which is ironic that I live there.
Yeah.
And I had a pyro phase. I was about 12, 13. And for some reason,
what? Oh, so that's
Yeah, I
when
had
you're
a
into
pyro
fire,
phase.
addicted to fire. Into fire.
yeah, I had a weird pyro phase.
How cute.
Yeah, and I got in trouble. I mean, I did. They were like, "What the fuck? Is she okay?" And we got past it, and they were very supportive. But I mean, I didn't get fired for that. But speaking of fire, like, I did get fired from that show, Girlfriends. That
How cool that you even got a part on that, though.
I know, but
what a fabulous show.
But I tell this story. So they booked me.
Okay.
And then what's her name? Oh God, what am I saying? She's Diana Ross's daughter.
Tracy Ellis Ross.
Yeah. So she didn't like me. She didn't think I was a good fit to play. It was basically like Angelina Jolie's trainer that she ended up getting like a workout session with. And so I was, excited to come. And with sitcoms, you do your rehearsals.
Wait, who were you supposed to be?
Her trainer.
You were supposed to be Angelina's trainer. Angelina wasn't in the episode.
No, but it was like
Tracy wanted to go to Angelina's trainer, and that was you.
Yeah,
I see.
And so she was excited for that. The character was excited to see me.
For sure.
And so we had this like thing where she was talking about dating some guy. I'd never done sitcoms, really. I've not really done that.
Yeah, adult sitcoms.
Yeah. I did do like a Fox pilot right after Even Stevens that could have gone.
What was that called?
It was called Boarding School.
Okay.
BS. And it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool, but it didn't have legs. But yeah, so she basically, after our first like on stage, might have even been, I don't think we were in costume, but it was like we were getting ready to film that week.
Okay. So you'd already done some rehearsals. You'd already been there a few days.
And guess what?
What?
I had to go to Kim Possible right after that and go to LA Studios and go record for Kim Possible. I show up and she'd probably already fired me internally, like after that rehearsal, but she's there in the lobby of LA Studios. And she's like, "Oh, hi, what are you doing here?" I'm like, "I'm Kim Possible," and she's like, "Oh, I'm guesting on that." And I was like, "You are?" And I was like, "That's crazy." And then I get to my car and I get my messages. And it turns out she fired me. Yeah, isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
So she had fired me and I didn't even know it.
Oh,
but
my gosh,
she knew it.
Oh gosh, was that
and
awkward?
She was, it was awkward
for her. I know, I'm saying, was she being awkward?
She was being awkward, yeah.
Oh,
she was being awkward.
Yeah.
But the truth is that I guess Hollywood is kind of a small place. Like I haven't had too many of those like run-ins.
Me neither.
No.
And I don't expect to really in the future.
Well, people are so scattered now. It's not the same Hollywood.
Well, yeah, and like nobody even actually lives in Hollywood anymore, right? They're in Texas like you are, or everywhere.
Yeah.
You don't see. But then at the same time, I'm in like Studio City, Sherman Oaks area, and there are so many famous people.
I saw Conan O'Brien at dinner last night.
Oh my gosh, wait, really?
Yes.
I love him.
I walked down the street.
He's got a great podcast.
To a really good restaurant called Jar. And
oh my God, I just passed Jar. Obviously, we passed Jar when we leave here.
Yes.
And that's a great restaurant.
I thought it was.
It's like high end, right?
I went there on a date like a long time ago.
Oh, I thought you were going to say last night. With Conan?
His hair is glorious. But
Conan, is it still glorious?
Yeah, it is.
And he's just a giant.
He wasn't as giant as I thought he would be, but maybe he was like kind of sitting down.
Okay.
But he was having an industry dinner, it seemed like.
Okay.
But he was chill. He was really chill. The whole vibe is chill there. I love it.
Yeah.
And it reminded me that I went there for a date when I was dating this manager guy, which didn't happen often, but he was very cool. And I went on a date there and I was like, this is weird. Like I haven't been here since I was on the date, so now it's like, sometimes when I come back to places in LA, it's like you get triggered by some things, but then when you've done enough work on yourself and it's almost like you're revisiting a whole nother life. It's fucking wild.
I know. I feel like I need to do. This is just making me think like I need to do more work on myself. Like I really do. I mean, we all do and stuff. But like even when we were talking about stories, like it's so hard for me to remember a lot of things. And I think, did I block it out? Did I not do enough work on it? Okay. And also like there's a lot of shame. I'm like, do I want to tell that story? But I'm so worried about the judgment. But it's like if you're really past it, and if you really know you're a good person, and that you're on the other side, it doesn't matter, So it's like, I have some work to do around it,
What have you been doing? Like have you just been, that's what I'm curious about because everybody's like healing journey and we should get back to like where it started for you, like with that, that's part of what we wanted to address when we had our little interview or interviewing each other, I guess.
Yeah.
So the question would be, if you feel like you have work to be done, there's obviously no judgment in anyone's like journey. What do you feel like you've been doing since trying to like come into, like with your really great relationship with Jono and like, your new perspective on what you want to do, even doing this podcast.
Totally. Not a lot, Christy, not a lot.
But you're a good person though.
Thank you.
I was a shit person until I made the decision to actually, no, I really was. Until I made the decision to like stop drinking and change my whole
I was a shit. I truly believe when you put poison in your mouth, like in your body, it's, I mean, sorry. I also want to say, I know we push mocktails and we're really proud of our,
well, I am.
No, we both are. And we're proud of our sobriety. But I also used to love drinking and believe that a lot of people have a great relationship with alcohol.
100%.
Jono, my boyfriend, drinks.
Drink all you want, man.
Drink your faces off, all right? So in the words of Andy Cohen and Bravo, drink your face off, all right? You know, if you want to play a game and we're drinking mocktails, but during the game you want to drink a drink, great. Of course, and I'm not the be all say all on that.
Yes.
But I want to be totally honest. I haven't done a lot of work, and I think I just was raised right. I have good people around me, and I'm not drinking.
Got it.
And I'm not scared about drinking.
You just eliminated that. You didn't have to.
No, I did. Like, I had a sponsor then. Yeah. I did all the steps.
Okay.
And
wow. If you did all the steps, then like you've done a lot of fucking work.
Yes,
and
I've had therapists.
Girl,
and
you've
stuff
done
like
a lot of work.
I know, but there are people who do the steps over and over and over again. It's like you don't really do the steps right the first time. I've definitely done like apology letters. Oh my gosh, I've done apology letters for people I've been fired with, you know.
You've done a lot of work.
I guess, but I think you have to keep it up. And I don't.
Well, it's like what we were talking about with mental health and stuff. Like it is an organ. It is like almost like a muscle where you have to keep working it out.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of people say too, like, a lot of people are scared when it's really good that you'll drink again. And things are really good. And that's happened to me. In the past, things have been really, really, really good. I book a job, I book Raven's home, and I drink again.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like good things can happen.
Yeah. Also, everyone's got different triggers.
Yeah.
For me,
it's funny,
like,
when my mom died, I thought I would drink again, but I didn't. I think because I knew she'd be so mad at me, you know?
Interesting.
Sorry,
I definitely feel less and less as the longer my sobriety goes. I feel those urges less and less, but there are times like last Christmas, last holiday season, I got to that place.
Oh, really?
And I'll smoke. I'm going to be honest. Like I'll smoke a cigarette when I'm super stressed. Like you've known me to smoke a cigarette like during my shoot days. Like
that's kind of what was making me think too a little bit about death. No, just because you're like, this is so bad for you. Well, no, I think you're not. That's why you don't smoke every day. But it is like all these things that we do, like the older we get, it's like scary. It's scary. It just feels like everybody has cancer. I know so many people who are losing friends and family. We're getting to that older point. I mean, most people I know are losing their grandparents, their sadly, if not their parents, you know, and it's like, what's next? Us.
Oh God.
This is so morbid. I'm so sorry.
Morbid.
Let's
cut this.
Let's get a guest on.
No,
let's get somebody fun on here.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Okay, rapid fire. Christy, what's underwear or underwear?
Oh, you want to do rapid fire?
Underwear or no underwear?
Let's do rapid fire.
Okay, Christy, underwear or no underwear?
Thong?
Totally, that's not a real rapid fire. So sorry.
Okay. Let me see. Monday or Friday?
Friday. Dream job.
Own a spa.
Ooh, I love that. What's something about you nobody knows?
I like missionary.
Okay, that's cute. Yeah, we knew that, Christy. What woman doesn't? What woman doesn't?
But you didn't know about that.
Okay, since you asked, my dream role is Fanny Bryson, funny girl.
Oh, of course. How have you not been that person? And she's
People
staring into camera because you need to hire her.
That's why.
Oh,
truly.
I love it.
But you know,
have you auditioned for it yet?
No.
Well, manifest it.
In a way, I have. I have.
Okay.
I mean, but they won't give me a proper audition. But I've auditioned for other things that people know about. But you know, truly, when that stuff happens, I really believe that. Like, I know this sounds so conceited and gross, but I really believe that I'm so talented and that like that gets to just be for me then. Mm-hmm. Do you know? I'm like, well, at least I'll always know it. I don't have to prove it to anyone. Mm-hmm. It truly would be wonderful for that audience and other Jewish people and. You know, like, and I'm a good person and I have such experience with it and I'm actually funny.
Yeah.
But
you're a funny girl.
Oh, wait. Oh, well, for everyone else, kind of. Sorry.
I know.
Like, I truly do feel like,
that's
like I
really
don't need
cool.
it. I've done enough shows to not need it.
That's
I don't
really
need
cool.
to perform.
I love that. No, I'd love that. I love where we're at personally because even if it's like we have things to work on, I think everyone can relate to that.
Of course.
And I think we did a pretty good job of interviewing each other.
Yeah.
If I do say so myself, it was chaos, but that's what this podcast
that's what it is. Big name chaos bitches.
It should have been that. Thank you guys. Please check out merch. What is it? Rate, follow, subscribe, love on us. We love you.
Yeah, we love you.
Constructive criticism is helpful, but please just say nice things because we are working on ourselves. We need a little confidence boost.
Yeah, and we're going to start start talking to you and maybe interacting with some of you watching, which would be really great, right?
Yes.
To talk to
100%.
peeps.
I love them. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.
See you next week.
Bye. See you next week.
Thanks for hanging, you big name bitch.
Now come back next Thursday so we can do it all again.